to talk about. Thank you very much, Chris. Well, does the time fit the crime? That is the question that many of you have been asking us one day after Dennis Drue was sentenced to 5 to 15 years in prison for killing 2 Shenendehowa students in that crash last year on the Northway. We've been getting a lot of questions from you folks at home about the punishment that was handed down, especially after a separate sentencing that happened on the same day involving a woman from Albany. She got 18 years behind bars for running down 6 pedestrians with an SUV, except none of those victims died. So why the difference here in sentencing? Pat Bailey is live in our Albany newsroom with some answers for us that he's found out throughout the day here. Pat?
That's right, Dory. One attorney tells me 2 big reasons for the big differences in crimes and punishment. Number 1, intent, and number 2, past criminal history.
Our hands were tied when it came to sentencing because Judge Scaranao and Mr. Drue made a deal directly with each other.
That is because of what Dennis Drue pled to. Attorney Paul Derohannesian followed the Drue case. He says after Dennis Drue initially turned down the 5 to 15-year prison sentence by the DA's office, that ended the DA's involvement in the negotiations. In fact, they were ready to move forward with a trial. Derohannesian says because Drue ended up pleading guilty to every count of the indictment, it allowed him to negotiate a sentence with the judge directly. Things might have been different if Drue pleaded guilty to only certain counts.
So one of the key points here, and it is somewhat unusual, is the defendant pleading to the entire indictment. And at that point, the district attorney is out of the equation when it comes to sentencing. And it becomes the defendant and the judge.
At the same time of Drue's sentencing, about 35 miles away in Albany, Shanikqua Thomas was receiving an 18-year sentence for 3 counts of vehicular assault. No one died in this act. Attorney Paul Derohannesian says the 2 cases have enough differences that they should not be compared.
There are so many differences in the offense, what's required to make that offense, the mental state, the background of the defendant, the circumstances of the crime, as well as the policies of the jurisdiction.
First off, there's intent. Drue's manslaughter conviction means he caused the death, but he did not intend to. In Thomas's case, the prosecution says she intentionally tried to harm others. Then there's prior records. Because the Albany County District Attorney's Office says Thomas had a previous criminal background filled with felonies, they were able to enhance her sentence.
The law does treat someone who has felony convictions or violent felony convictions differently.
Now, Attorney Derohannesian told me that one thing people should take away from Drue's sentence was Judge Scaranao saying that his 5 to 15-year sentence was on par with other sentences for similar crimes in that county. He said despite this case having so much emotion, the judge gave a sentence in line with the crime and the plea that was extended. In Albany tonight, Pat Bailey, CBS 6 News.